What is up, everyone? So today I am sat inside of the 2020 Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Widebody. Now, this is exciting. I've actually never driven a Hellcat. Surprisingly, I've driven like a tuned 1200 horsepower Demon. So basically just skipped right over the Hellcat, went straight to that. If you guys have not seen that video, check it out. It was a ton of fun. So I've always been curious to see what it's like to drive just a stock Hellcat. This really changed the game with this engine when it first came out. It was one of the most powerful sedans that the world had ever seen. It still is, being eclipsed only by like, a P100D Tesla, but that's a completely different vehicle. This is real old school muscle car. You guys already pretty much know a lot about it. But for all my Mopar fans that are subscribed to the channel, I promised you more Mopar content. So here it is, but let's go ahead and jump into the video. All right, so let's take a look at this gorgeous 2020 Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Widebody. Now, this example is right around $81,700, and obviously being the wide body, that basically means you get a wider body. This is 3.5 inches wider than a standard Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat, and this is finished off in the granite paint color. This paint is incredible. It has so much flake to it. It's got a ton of just that really luminescent pearl effect. And if you love to detail cars, I mean, you're gonna enjoy this because it brings out all that sparkle, all of that shine. Unfortunately, it's like pollen season. Literally just washed this and it's covered in pollen. So really upset about that. But either way, the video must go on. Now, if you come to the front of the Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Widebody, it is a beast. It just looks so muscular. Literally looks like you got a Dodge Charger and put it on steroids. It's pretty nuts how aggressive this thing looks in person. It just has such a stance, has such a presence on the road, and I'm absolutely in love with the way that this looks. I think every fast sedan needs to have a wide body package added to it. Now, as you come to the front, you have a slightly revised front fascia, just ever so slightly different than the normal Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat. And then you're also going to have the Scat Pack wide body. Now, the only two differences between this and a Scat Pack wide body are, of course, the badges and right up here. The Scat Pack's only going to have this vent. The Hellcat's going to have these two on the sides. That's literally the only difference. People who spend the money to buy this over a Scat Pack may be a little upset by that, but it is cool that Dodge gives you the option to, have this look just with with a significant amount less horsepower. And then this one has the brass colored emblems. I saw it on the sticker, I was like, what the heck? But seeing them in person, it's really cool. They have a really nice look to it, and I just absolutely love this. Now, the one thing I am upset about is you have projector head beams. This is an $82,000 car, and you have projector head beams. I mean, it's not that big of an issue, but at the same time, like, Dodge, how much is it really going to hurt you to throw full LEDs on this? You have an LED daytime running light, which looks great during the day. It makes it look aggressive. I just think having that full LED will give it a much more expensive look. It's insane how little details like that really affect how a car looks and comes off. Now, as we come down to the wheels, this is one of the biggest changes from a standard Hellcat, is this thicker rubber. These are 305 35s at all four corners. You have a straight up square setup, and these Pirelli P0s do pretty well once you get some heat in them, but you have to get some heat in them because even though these are a lot wider, it's still going to struggle for traction unless you just generate a good amount of grip from these wheels. And this also has the brass colored wheels, and I think the brass is really growing on me. At first I kind of wasn't a fan of it, but this looks really good. And then right behind there you have 6-piston Brembo brakes, which obviously is much needed to bring this big sedan to a stop. And then coming to the Hellcat logo, also going to be finished off in brass. Then as we move back to the rear quarter panel, man, does this thing look next level. I just love it. Love it, love it. Let me know what you guys think. Maybe I'm just too obsessive over the looks of this car. Vote up here. Let me know. Do you like the looks of this vehicle? Would you buy this? just because of the looks, because I wouldn't do that with many cars. I would do that with this car. You have a wider vent back here. It is functional, so that's pretty nice to see. You got some exhaust back here. You can see more of that dual carbon stripe. Of course, your SRT Hellcat badge over there, but let's go ahead and take a listen to how this sounds. Okay, so here's the key for the Dodge Charger. It's going to say SRT there on the back with your little Hellcat logo, if you guys can see that. And obviously I have the red key, so I get the full 707 horsepower. And this does have remote start, so I'll let you guys go ahead and take a listen to how that sounds with a cold start. Let's take a quick look at this interior. It is a really nice, beautiful Napa leather. And coming to the door, you are going to have soft touch materials all throughout the door, except for when you get down here. So not a huge deal, especially considering the performance you get out of this. Harman Kardon sound system in this one. Memory seats, 2 settings, your window mirror controls, decent sized door pockets. This is super soft to rest your arm on. Aluminum pedals, SRT branded floor mats, very minimal seat controls there, but you know, at least you have powered seats, I guess. The leather is literally the softest thing I've ever felt in my life, guys. It's like the best couch leather you've ever sat on in your entire life. But let's go ahead and get in and we'll check out the rest. All right, so usually this is where I would shut the door, but we're gonna go ahead and start it first, and then I'll shut the door. So, foot on the brake because this is push start. Sweet. Okay, so shutting the door. Oh, it's a far reach. Pretty solid shut. Actually blocks out a lot of noise, so that's either good or bad depending on who you are. It's great in the highway when you're driving long distances. But starting at the steering wheel, you've got this big chunky steering wheel. It is humongous. It feels like a truck steering wheel. It's just so thick, so massive. This is all going to be plastic here at the bottom. You do have some nice stitching here, perforated leather, smooth leather. It's going to say SRT there in the middle. That's actually going to illuminate at night with like a red color. You can't change the color on it, but it's still cool that it does that. You do have obviously interior illumination in here at night, but it's not going to be anything crazy. You don't have like nice LED lighting or anything like that. It's just minimal to the point to where you can see the buttons that you're trying to use, and that's pretty much it. And then obviously your screen's going to illuminate. Over to the left, that's going to be to control this screen here, which I'll get to in a second. Cruise control over here. You do have blank buttons, which is interesting in a top spec car. You don't get like adaptive cruise or anything like that, which I'm very disappointed to see that. Once again, yes, I know it's got 707 horsepower, but that is not, in my opinion, just a pass for everything that this car really needs to have. Paddles right back here, which are very interesting shaped paddles. There we go. You don't have a wiper over here. It's all in one stalk, which is weird. So blinker, wiper, and then you push in to do like the spray. and then obviously your voice command. So going back to this and to this screen right here, here we go. So I can use those to go through here. You have different things like your audio, messages, fuel, your tack over to the left, speedometer over to the right, and it's just pretty simple, very easy to use. Anyone could work this, no problem. So there we go. Now coming back here, you do have like carbon fiber right here, which is pretty nice. I don't know actually if it's real or not, but it's like a matte finish, so I do actually prefer that over the gloss finish. You do have this Alcantara lined headliner, if you guys can see that right there. Leather stitch dash, which is going to be soft, but obviously this isn't going to be real stitching. It's just like mold injected stitching. SRT badging right over here. Now you're going to have basically Dodge's system that they've used for years, and it's a good system. It works pretty well, and you do have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, things like that. The only frustrating part is like if I wanted to turn on my heated seats, I have to do everything through here. I just wish they had a button for my heated and vented seats, and you have heated steering wheel on here as well, if you guys can see that. The camera's like not focusing today. There we go. But once again, I do like how this whole thing is just carbon fiber. It looks pretty cool. Now, obviously, this is a very dated interior, so would love to see this eventually get better with the next generation. Now, coming down, you do have this SRT button, which I can push that, and that's going to bring up my different modes right here. And once these modes are up, I can go to like my custom setting, which is going to be everything in track. Dude, my camera is not focusing. There we go. Basically everything in track, and except for the traction and the suspension. That's probably my favorite setup. But either way, you can go through, do line lock, launch control, and then we'll mess with some of that a little bit later. And then you actually have a launch button down there to get straight to business. Parking sensors, traction control. You can turn your screen off. Dual zone climate control. A little bit of storage space located right down here, and you're gonna have a 12 volt located there. Now you don't have like a USB up here, which is kind of frustrating. It's all going to be in the armrest. Now you do have the shifter, which is a nice shifter. It's got some leather here, and it's very high quality. Now you slap it over here, pull back to upshift, push forward to downshift, which is the correct way to do it. Coming back, you're gonna have more carbon fiber. You are gonna have cup holders here, a huge armrest, which is nice and soft. Lift that up. You have storage space in there. There's my key for my next review, which is a Hyundai Kona electric. Literally could not be any more different from what I have right now. Now you can lift this up, and you can reveal more storage space right down in there. USBs and auxiliary right in there. Lockable glove box. Auto dimming mirror right up here. Lights are not going to be LED, but they are still pretty bright. Home link. This is to open your moonroof, which is just a nice big moonroof. Vanity mirror with your lights embedded in there. That's pretty much going to be it for the front. Let's go ahead and check out the back seat. All right, everyone. So sitting in the back seat of the Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Widebody. Now I've got a good amount of room back here. You like sink into these seats. Just as comfortable as the front seats. It's literally like you're sitting on your couch in all four of these seats. It's incredibly comfortable. This leather just has so much give, and it is incredibly soft. Of course, perforations, they're nice and deep on top of just being so soft that you sink into the seat. Now, you don't have like an armrest per se right here. I think you can possibly, nope, nothing here. So nothing folds down. So you aren't going to have an armrest here with cup holders. You don't even have a middle area here with cup holders, which is so surprising for this car, to be honest. I really don't think there's a way to fold this down. Let me double check. Yeah, nothing at all. The whole seat comes up, but I mean, that's pretty much going to be the extent of it. Yeah, I'm so surprised there's no cup holders there. That's taking me back so much right now. Headroom is decent, so if I sit up pretty straight, there's a indent in the roof, so it gives me a little bit of extra headroom. Probably like an inch, but it's actually not as spacious as you would think, at least in terms of vertical space. Horizontal space, you have tons of room. It's super comfortable. Now this middle hump, it is pretty tall, but I think you can still fit a third person here as long as they're shorter, because they would definitely be hitting their head at that point. But once again, it's just such a comfortable and spacious area horizontally and width-wise that you can easily fit 3 people back here if you wanted to do that. Mat pockets behind each seat. You do have 2 vents back here, heated seats for both outboard passengers. You have 2 USBs back here as well. Obviously a grab handle because, I mean, you're in the back seat of a Hellcat, so you're gonna want to utilize that as much as possible. You shut this door, it's a decently solid shut. You do once again have cup holders here in the doors, you just don't have the ones here in the middle. And the door material is pretty good. It's slightly soft touch. It doesn't have a lot of give to it, but it's not hard plastic, which is nice. But you do get hard plastic here at the bottom, but you know, it's a 700 horsepower American muscle sedan, so that really doesn't matter at all. And then for the most part, it's a pretty decent and comfortable place to be. So let's go ahead and check out the trunk space. All right, you guys, so coming to the back of the Charger SRT Hellcat. Now there's a button here, you just push that, it's gonna open right up for you. It's not automatic, it's just struts and, you know, helps pop it open, that way you can get in. Now, once you're in here, you have a very wide trunk, so you can fit things in there very easily. Even this area isn't super narrow, so you can probably fit a good amount of things in here, though if you're doing like big boxes, it could be a little bit of a challenge to fit inside of there. Now you can also fold the rear seats down, but with the rear seats up, you have 16.5 cubic feet of space back here, I believe. Exact specs are here on the screen if I didn't get that right for whatever reason. And then over here to the left, you're gonna have an area to hang like groceries, which is pretty convenient. But even more impressive, underneath here, you are going to have a little bit of storage space, and it's a pretty good size. You can fit like a small bottle of laundry detergent. That's like the only thing I can think of, kind of random. You can fit something definitely bigger than that for sure. And then you have your fix-a-flat stuff back here because you don't have a spare obviously on this. And yeah, it's a good amount of space. It's very, very practical, which is one of the best parts about, you know, the Charger over like the Challenger, let's say. But let's go ahead and see what powers this beast. Okay everyone, so under the hood of the Dodge Charger Hellcat Widebody. Now if you know anything about a Hellcat, there's no difference here. This isn't like a red eye, this isn't a demon. It's not gonna make 797 horsepower or above 800. It's just gonna get the wide body treatment and still keep that just amazing Hellcat engine. So this is a 6.2 liter supercharged Hemi V8. This is gonna make 707 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque, and that's gonna go to those rear wheels only through Dodge's 8-speed ZF automatic, or Torque Flight automatic, as Dodge calls it. Now this is an incredibly powerful engine. It's just torque rich in every single gear. It sounds amazing. You've got this massive supercharger bolted on top, and the supercharger alone displaces more than most 4-cylinder engines. And it does say SRT right on top. It's got the Hellcat symbol, big iron block, old school pushrod V8. It's absolutely amazing. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get on the road because I'm sure you guys already know enough about this power plant. So let's see what this thing's like to drive with this new wide body setup. All right, everybody, so driving the Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Widebody. Now, you cannot have a car like this and not do a burnout. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do a rolling burnout. So I'm just gonna leave it in drive, traction all the way off. I'm not gonna use line lock, and I'm just gonna accelerate, brush the brake a little bit, and then let off the brake, and that should be it. So here we go. That thing is crazy. That made so much smoke. Okay, so now that that has happened, let's talk about casual driving for just a little bit. We're gonna sandwich technique this. So boom, did my burnout. Now I'm gonna slow down a bit, and then we'll do a little bit more aggressive driving after this. But when you're cruising like this, believe it or not, this is one of the most comfortable cars I've been in. It's literally like someone strapped 700 horsepower to your couch. It is so comfortable. And the funny thing is, the seats still do a decent job of holding you in place. They feel very like big and like lazy boy lumpy kind of, but it's still really good. I like them. It's comfortable. Whenever the transmission is like in 8th gear, so let me shift into 8th right now. It's quiet. It's pretty subdued. You don't have like any drone from the exhaust, and that's, you know, it's really good. And it's about as quiet in here as like a mid-spec BMW. I mean, it's pretty quiet, and I was super surprised by that. And when you have this in just automatic mode, it just rides with such a floaty feeling. And then once you throw it into track mode, it really changes how this car feels, obviously, but it's a pretty dramatic change. So auto mode, I can definitely drive this thing cross country, zero issue. So that is pretty impressive. But with that being said, because it is so comfortable on the highway, I would like to see a lot more upscale amenities. Now, yes, all the Dodge fans are going to tell me that this is not a luxury car, it is a drag car, but I'm only trying to benefit you guys. Dodge does see these videos, and on top of that, I think it would be really cool, definitely in the next generation Charger, to see a lot more high quality materials. This car is already $83,000. Just go ahead and make it 100 and give me some really nice materials that I can appreciate on those long trips. And a little bit more tech, things like that would be useful as well. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and pop this bad boy into track mode, but I'm gonna turn the traction back on. Now the tires are warmed up. It should grip pretty well, and that's the best thing about the wide body. Not only does it look better, you have all that extra confidence behind you, and so that's really great. And obviously once the tires are warmed up, once they're good to go, you shouldn't have a problem putting most of the power down. Now, flooring it in first, second gear probably still isn't the way to go, but it's way more manageable, or at least it should be. So let's go ahead and see what it's like. I have it in full manual mode because it's a lot easier to control the power on this while using the paddles. And you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and send it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this thing is insane fast. Now, I've got a real tight corner coming up here, and Dodge says this can corner better. Oh my gosh, but in track mode, it is really stiff. But let's go ahead and get on it. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. We're going, and it grips. Okay. And I love that upshift sound. This is the ZF automatic 8-speed. If you guys have never driven this generation Challenger Charger, this ZF, this Torque Fly automatic is incredible. So, downshifts. Listen to that. Listen to these upshifts. Oh my goodness. But I'm gonna switch out of track mode to my custom setting, which is basically everything in track except for the suspension. That is the sweet spot right there. And yeah, this thing is so good. It sounds so incredible. Oh, listen to that supercharger. Man. But yeah, I'm like really surprised at how well this just... It actually grips, guys. It actually grips. I will say though, and this is a given, but the fuel on here when you're getting on it drops at an alarming rate. I mean, at a full tank, driving it this way, you'll probably get 220 miles of range. It's pretty crazy, and obviously you're only gonna want to throw premium fuel in here, and it can get pretty expensive pretty quick. But you know, if you can afford an $80,000 Dodge Charger, I assume you have the money to afford the fuel and the $400 rear tires, $400 a piece, that go on this bad boy. But other than that, guys, it's really good to drive. I think I'm very impressed with how much better the wide body handles itself. It has much more composure to it. And then, you know, obviously if you were to take us to the drag strip, having those wider tires, at least for stock tires, you can use them up and then throw whatever other tires you want on them. Most people will do that anyways. But for a stock setup, this is very, very good. I think the Pirellis are okay. I would like to see a slight different tire, maybe a Michelin or something like that. I just think that the Pirellis need more warming up than most other tires. A lot of other tires, you can really just drive it for a few minutes and then it's pretty much good to go, at least with these newer, softer compounds. But, you know, these are good, they're adequate, and once again, it really does make a huge difference having that wider 305 tire in the front and in the rear. In the front, obviously, for handling, in the rear, for putting down that traction. But that's pretty much gonna wrap up driving impressions, guys. So let's go ahead and wrap this video up. Now, first of all, if you're looking at this vehicle, there's a 99% chance you're going to get this vehicle, just because it just offers something completely different than, let's say, like a Cadillac CTS-V. And this is just really old school. If you like that old school feeling, it's great. This is a traditional muscle car. You can take it on just a long trip, and yes, it doesn't get the greatest fuel economy. I think on a full tank of gas, I was really only getting like between 220 to 50 miles of range. But also it's been driven hard, so that's most likely to be expected. It's really comfortable given the fact that it has updated, you know, springs, suspension. It's got wider tires, it's got big wheels. You would expect this thing to ride just like garbage, and it's heavy. This is a 4,500-pound vehicle. This is still very big, very floaty. It's just a big boat. But the fact is, with this wide body setup, it handles the power a lot better. Now, I would still recommend a tire swap. I'd still recommend at least warming the tires up if you're gonna do anything crazy. But for everyday driving, it's great. You're on the highway, you give it like half throttle, you don't have to worry about the back end fishtailing on you. It puts it down a lot better than I would have thought. And it's a great car, it sounds incredible. And you know, if you're still into really old school muscle car, supercharged, just, you know, high displacement V8s, this is one of the only options before these start to eventually fade away. But I think during that phase out period, things like this really should be snatched up because it's a really cool sedan. But thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more of this content. I have tons of just versatile content. So if you like cars in general, be sure to subscribe to Forest Auto Reviews. You can check out my merchandise below, and I will see you guys in the next review. Y'all take care. Bye.